Welcome to Hire Power, the show where we cut through the noise and get real about hiring. I'm Kim Frost, founder of Frost Connections, and after 25 plus years in the search industry, I've seen what works and what absolutely doesn't. If you're a founder, CEO, VP, or HR leader who's tired of bad hires and ready to build a team that actually fits your culture and vision, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Hire Power. You know those tiny moments in life that just make things better? For me, today, this afternoon, it's my Diet Coke with 6 limes, yes, 6, and a full can, not the mini can. The mini can people, we should talk. So, all is right in my world, at least for the next 20 minutes. What's really been on my mind lately is communication and critical thinking. And honestly, those two skills are becoming the new competitive advantage in business. Not AI, not technology, not even technical expertise alone. I continue to hear and read, AI is taking my job. Well, no, it's really not. It's changing it, yes. Perhaps what's taking your job is your lack of communication skills. Sorry, I know it's harsh, but I have to be honest and respectful. It's the truth. And it bums me out. I see it more and more lately. The people who are going to separate themselves over the next 5 to 10 years are the people who can think clearly, communicate effectively, solve problems, and influence others. Because here's the irony of AI. The more technology advances, the more human skills matter. And research is backing this up. According to the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report, analytical thinking, resilience, flexibility, leadership, communication, and creative problem solvings are now among the top skills employers need most. They're not nice to haves, they're needs. Another study from LinkedIn found that communication consistently ranks among the top skills companies struggle to find, even when candidates have that technical background. And when I say technical background, I mean their subject matter expertise, not just technology. I see this every day in recruiting. In fact, I was talking recently to one of my clients and also a good friend who's the CEO of a global consulting company. Business is picking up significantly. Opportunities are there. Demand is there. But he said they weren't winning the work consistently. So when I asked him why, his answer immediately caught my attention because it ties directly into today's conversation. What was his response? Communication skills, critical thinking, the ability to connect the dots in front of clients. They were getting into those meetings, the technical capabilities were there, but during the interview and presentation process, that's where candidates and even some leaders struggle to communicate clearly, think on their feet, ask strategic questions, or even articulate the value in a compelling way. That's the difference maker now. And here's what's wild. I have another friend who works for a global outdoor retailer. They have a phenomenal brand, so they always get a ton of applications. People want to work there. She's part of the first round interview team. You know what she told me? Over 75% of candidates don't make it past that interview. Not because they lack qualifications, not because they don't have the experience. It was because their communication skills were awful. Another hard truth, but it is true. Candidates ramble. They can't organize their thoughts. They struggle to answer basic situational questions. They don't ask thoughtful questions back, or my pet peeve, any questions at all. They can't explain the why behind their decisions. And sometimes they look completely disengaged socially. This is becoming a massive issue in the workforce because businesses don't just need individual contributors anymore. They need collaborators, people who can influence without authority, people who can work cross-functionally, people who can navigate ambiguity without melting down every 5 seconds. And AI is accelerating this shift. So I want you to think about this. If AI can handle portions of coding, research reporting, summarization, analysis, scheduling, administrative work, presentations, then what becomes more valuable? Judgment, communication, decision making, relationship building, leadership, the human layer, the people who can take information and make sense of it, the people who can simplify complexity, the people who can handle difficult conversations. So, what do all those traits have in common? It's the social, analytical communication skills. That's the future. And honestly, I think and I hope this is where a lot of companies are waking up. I'm hearing more leaders talk about foundational skills again, things like collaboration, emotional intelligence, social intelligence, the latest of the EQ, IQ, adaptability, problem solving, executive presence, curiosity, coaching mentality, and the player coach leadership styles. Companies can teach systems, they can teach tools, they can even teach technical processes faster now because of AI. What's much harder to teach is how someone thinks and communicates. How do you communicate under pressure? How do you handle conflict? How do you respond when things go sideways? Another one of my clients told me about an interview she had. Part of her interview involved completing something online. As she was doing this, the computer crashed. However, it was intentional. The company staged this to observe how she would respond. Did she panic? Did she blame somebody? Did she become flustered? Did she stay calm? Was she able to problem solve? Could she communicate? I thought this was absolutely brilliant because why? This is real life. Business today is constant change, shifting priorities, curveballs, pressure, uncertainty, competing personalities, and incomplete information. The people who thrive aren't always the smartest technically. They're the people who can stay steady, communicate clearly, and think critically while everyone else is spiraling. And leaders, this starts with you. You can't expect your teams to communicate well if you don't model that. You can't demand collaboration while you're operating in silos. You can't ask employees to adopt if every change creates chaos because leadership communication is inconsistent. And unfortunately, I see this a lot. Successful leaders model the behavior first. So, how do you do this? You ask thoughtful questions, you create clarity, you encourage healthy debate. I talked about that last week on how to build super teams. You coach instead of dictate. You ask the questions that will help your team get to the right answer. You teach your teams how to think, not just what to do. That's how resilient organizations are built. And this is why I continue to have concerns about fully remote work environments long term. Yes, I said it. I went there. And I'm going to talk about this in a dedicated podcast because I know some of you are already clutching your favorite coffee mugs and saying, no way. But I want you to hear me out. When people work in complete isolation for years, many lose opportunities to develop that communication muscle in real-time environments. So, how do you read body language? You're managing conflict live. You're presenting in a room. Building relationships organically, navigating those difficult conversations face to face instead of hiding behind an email. These are the critical business skills in today's world. And if organizations aren't intentional, those skills erode over time. Again, I'm not anti-remote work. I've been doing it on and off for over 20 years. But I'm very intentional about how I develop as a leader, and it's about balance. Some companies have worked remotely for decades. However, they've built the right environment to be successful. Because at the end of the day, companies succeed when their people can adapt quickly, communicate effectively, and solve problems together. That's what builds resilient organizations. And for individuals listening today, here's the opportunity, because this is good news for you. Communication and critical thinking are skills you can improve immediately. Read more, practice presenting, ask better questions, learn to simplify your thoughts. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's okay. That's how we grow. Pay attention in meetings. Observe great communicators. I love doing this. Sometimes in meetings, I am very intentional about being quiet, just so I can observe these great communicators. Challenge your assumptions. One of my favorites, hire a coach. Join networking groups. Stop hiding behind email and Slack for every difficult conversations. Again, oh my God, another pet peeve of mine. I'm going to divert here. Several years ago, I got a nasty email from a colleague. Instead of emailing back, I picked up the phone. And you know what happened? That person immediately softened. They almost even started backpedaling, going, oh, no, that's not what I meant. But we were able to have a cordial conversation. I listened, they listened, we discussed, we were able to move forward. You know what? I also lost a really good friendship over nasty emails that were sent to me. That person refused to pick up the phone or meet me in person. So what happened? Our relationship dissolved, and it was honestly heartbreaking. Those who sharpen these skills are going to stand out in a massive way over the next several years. Because while everyone else is racing to learn AI tools, the real winners will be the people who know how to lead, connect, influence, and think. That combination, that's hard to replace. My husband and I talk about this all the time. I'm sure you can think about a recent call you made, trying to get someone on the phone that could communicate effectively. Honestly, this is how you're going to future-proof your career. Thanks for listening to another episode. And if your organization is struggling with leadership communication, hiring the right talent, or building teams that can truly adapt and perform at a higher level, reach out to me. I'd love to chat, because great companies are not built on resumes alone. They're built by people who know how to think, communicate, and lead when it matters most.
That's it for this episode of Hire Power. If you're ready to hire smarter, connect with me at frostconnections.com or at LinkedIn at Kim Frost. And if you've got something to say about today's episode, follow the show and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, hire smart, lead better, and remember, how you hire is who you become. See you next week. No fluff, just better hires.